Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary Ellen, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing how I made the Megan Nielsen Cottesloe Swimsuit. So I made version D, which is the high-waisted bikini set with the waistband and the underband for the top. And it came out great. Here are the bottoms, and then this is the top. I made it out of this beautiful lycra sport fabric from Spoonflower. It's this navy and like darker blue floral print. I just love the colors. And then I used this black lining fabric that I had left over from a previous project. Alright, just a couple of quick bits of information before I roll the clips, but I made a size 12 in the top, and my bust is a 38. And then for the bottoms, I made a size 14. My waist is a 32 inch, and then my hips are a 42. The fit of this swimsuit is really good. The top is as tight as I like it. It's pretty tight. I think I could size up and it would still work, but I prefer a more tight fit for the top because I don't want anything coming off that shouldn't be coming off. And the bottoms I actually could probably size down in. There's a little bit of extra fabric around the butt area, maybe even grading down to a 12 on this seam here, and then doing a 12 kind of in the crotch area, but still a 14 up top. I might try that with my next pair. But yeah, the instructions were pretty good. The instructions that come with the pattern itself are kind of limited, but on Megan Nielsen's website and her blog, they have very detailed walkthroughs for elastic, lined versions, and like any combination of the swimsuit you could put together. So that's what I ended up using for the majority of the instruction, and everything came out great. It's my first time sewing a swimsuit, and I can't wait to wear it this summer. So yep, if you are new here, please like this video and subscribe for more like it, and let's get into it. Alright, so the first step in this swimsuit is to attach the bottom and the top at the side seams. So I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch, and the seam allowance is 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just pinning my side seams here, and I will be doing the same with the crotch seam. Alright, so I'm going to be pinning my top fabric as well, the side seams, and then at the top of the straps. Alright, it is time to sew. I'm just setting my machine here to my zigzag stitch, and I'm leaving the settings how they are. As you saw in the previous clips, my lining is already sewn together because I wanted to test out the sizing with the lining and before I cut out my nice swim fabric. Luckily everything fit just fine, so I'm going to go ahead and get the outer pieces all sewn together, and then we can sew this outer piece to the lining for the top and bottom. I just wanted to include this real life sewing moment. I totally got a thread nest when I was starting this seam and I had to pick it out. This happens to me at least once a project, so you are not alone if your stitching does not go how you want it to go. And I think the key for this is not to start stitching at the very top of your fabric. Kind of go down a couple, maybe a centimeter or so, and start sewing there, and then use your back stitching to cover the little bit of fabric that you missed. This usually works for wovens and knits. I ended up just stopping the back stitching since these are just, I was going to attach this outer shell to the lining anyway, and I would kind of pick up where I didn't stitch and kind of lock those side seams in. So you'll notice that from here on out. Alright, it is now time to attach the lining to the outer shell, and I'm doing that here with wrong sides together. I totally did this right side together first, and then I realized when I got to the elastic that that was not going to work. So please read the instructions before you just assume how it goes. So wrong sides together, and I'm just pinning the waistband and the leg openings, and I'm going to be using basically a basting zigzag, so I increased the length of my stitches to 3.5 or 4. That way I was going to be stitching over it again with the 1.5 stitch length, so I figured that a basting stitch would be just fine in this step. Alright, it is now time to attach the elastic. So I am marking my halfway point and my quarter points on the elastic before I pin to my fabric. And per the instructions, and I used one of the tutorials on Megan Nielsen's blog for this part, so you can see I'm reading. So I flipped the suit inside out, and I'm starting at the side seam and pinning that there, as you can see, and I just use the halfway point for that crotch seam, and kind of it'll be stretched out in between those 2 points. And since this was my first seam using the elastic, the leg openings did end up getting stretched out just a little bit. Can't really tell when it's on, but I definitely noticed it. So that's just something to keep in mind. Don't stretch it out too much, but just enough so that the elastic matches the length of the actual fabric opening, if that makes sense. Kind of like sewing on a knit neckband. You don't really want to stretch the actual garment, just the elastic or what you're attaching. Alright, now that my elastic is attached to the lining side, I'm going to just flip over the leg opening once so that elastic is covered, and I'm just going to stitch down this fold with a zigzag and making sure I encase the edge of that folded fabric. Here's how that looks. It's a little blurry. There we go. Looks really nice and clean from the outside. Inside looks a little crazy because I did do that basting stitch, but that's okay. Nobody can see it. Alright, now I'm going to be attaching the waistband. So I'm measuring out the waistband elastic length, and I'll be doing that same marking the halfway point and the quarter-way point. Alright, so I'm sewing my waistband ends together, and I'm sewing the elastic closed, overlapping about 1/2 inch. Alright, now I'm pinning my, or really inserting my elastic into the waistband and sewing this closed. I was really lazy with this first waistband and I didn't pin the halfway marks and the quarter marks, and this was not good. I ended up taking this off at the end and redoing it because it just looked horrible and it wasn't evenly spaced. So when I do the underband later on in the video, I do it correctly, and wouldn't you know, it turns out a lot better and I don't have to unpick it and redo it. So don't cut corners and don't be lazy. Don't be like me. Alright, now we are moving on to the top, and the process is the exact same. So we are going to attach the lining to the outer shell, wrong sides together, and we're going to pin together. Actually, I've moved to these clips. I got them at Wallach. They're the best thing ever. I will link them below. They're a lot more affordable than the Wonder Clips, and you get like 100 of them. So I'm just clipping my seams together, and I'm going to be doing that same basting length zigzag to just tack these seams together, so it'll be easier to do the elastic. I forgot to add my bra cups before I attached the lining to the outer shell, so I'm doing that now. And I was going to hand sew them on, but that was taking way too long, so I ended up just attaching them with my machine. I unpicked that bottom seam there, and I'm just going to leave it undone until I attach my underband. So I'm just going to show you how I did it. I just used a zigzag stitch on the edge of the bra cup and the edge of the actual lining fabric so that it connected nicely. And it worked out great, and the bra cups are awesome. Alright, it is elastic time again. So I'm going to be marking my halfway point and my quarter points and pinning them accordingly to the neckline. This long piece is for the neckline. And I didn't have any stretching in my top elastic pieces, so the neckline and then the armhole openings. So I made sure to learn from my leg opening mistake and not stretch out my fabric, and it turned out really great. Alright, again showing you the finished seam of my neckband or neckline, and that other side is ready to be folded over for the arm opening. See the underside of what that seam looks like. Now we're just going to fold that other side over for the arm opening and stitch that down. And now it is underband time. I just finished measuring out my underband elastic, and now I'm trimming off about 1/4 of an inch from the pattern underband piece. And this is because my elastic is 3/4 of an inch and not 1 inch. So I just trimmed down my pattern piece, and that solved that. I do have 1 inch elastic, but it's not as tight as the 3/4 inch, and since this is going to be a bathing suit, I want to be sure that the elastic is nice and strong, but this didn't cause any problems. I just trimmed that piece down and it worked out well. So I'm marking my fabric, this halfway mark, and the 1/4 marks, so I can properly match my elastic to the fabric and stitch that correctly, and it worked a lot better this time. Alright, this is the final thing I had to do to complete this swimsuit. I'm attaching the underband to the top piece, and then I will be done, and I'll show you how it came out. Alright, here is the finished result, and I love it. I think it looks really nice, and it fits really well, and I love all of the lines. You know, it's not too revealing in the bottom, and it's a nice simple design, and it fits great, and I feel secure in it. I feel confident in it. Yeah, can't wait to wear it this summer.